start blowing GFIs, it's gonna be a long day.
Nice maple syrup here. Yeah, okay. And they're the shortest part of it. I didn't make it. Made it for me, and I took credit for it.
It took me about 10 minutes to
You remember that?
Right together. So I'm Adam Cassidy with the West Virginia Mountain Trail Runners. Just agreed to put on this run to help out with the festivities with the Allegheny Trail folks, and I'm glad you guys came. Or else I'd look really foolish standing here. So I've got a route marked, and it's out and back. So we're going to go straight ahead, and we're going to be following white ribbons. So we're going to turn left and then run right by where everyone's camping. And then, so it's a little bit of trail, like grassy trail, really nice. And then we've got we'll turn a hard right on the Slavin Hollow Road. Again, white ribbon. You'll see two whites side by side. That signifies a turn. So when you see two ribbons, two whites side by side, that means you need to turn that direction. So we'll run on Slavin Hollow Road on the pavement for about a mile, and then it turns to gravel.
Like two whites on the same post?
Yeah, you'll see two side by side. It's
Okay.
really quite intuitive.
Okay.
There's some other ribbons out there, like some like orange. Don't pay attention to it. It's probably like people that have been cycling, and so you're following white. I've got big long ribbons. It's really obvious. So who's going to run the 5K? Perfect. So what you're going to see, and right at the start of Slavin Hollow Road, which turns to gravel, it's really beautiful. You'll see two really long pieces of green, and I have written on it in chicken scratching with a Sharpie. It says 5K turnaround. And if you've got a GPS watch, you'll see it should say like 1.55 miles.
Okay.
Then, for anyone going farther, I've got the same thing at 5 miles. Now, Slavin Hollow gets rough after that. It's like a Jeep road. You guys ready to rock and roll?
No bragging.
All right, everybody have a great time.
I'll get some of these.
All right, so we're ready, right? We're running.
I get a call. I get a call from a very angry woman. His mom with a Chicago area code. And so she calls me up and says, were you hiking?
The material just opens up. And always this year that goes first, which is interesting. Yeah, because it's happening.
Yeah, if you got your pole with you, definitely try it when you get to bigger.
I taken the Merrills because I have a wide foot, and I haven't ever tried Brooks, but I have tried.
Great unless you add something else to it. But if you try it at home, then you can determine, well, I think I'll add this or whatever. And you can buy as Diane said, you can buy the freeze-dried, regular freeze-dried foods, but they do typically have right.
With everybody's intestinal
Yeah, exactly.
or workings.
And sometimes you won't know until it's cumulative. That's like with me with the backpacking rules. Having had one or two on a 2, 3, 4 day trip didn't bother me. It was when we were gone multi days that this was just awful. The other thing I'll mention regarding wild foods, and whether you're familiar with them or not, you need to know that in any given season, in any given year, don't depend on them. Because just now, I went to look, there are no black cherries on these black cherry trees. And where I live in Putnam County, they're dropping right now. But these don't.
Yes.
Yeah, it's owned by somebody that was one of the original Macintosh or Apple partners.
Oh, wow.
And so they've got like 40-some thousand acres that they own.
And then you said some of it's on Duke Energy.
Well, some of it's on Duke land,
Okay.
and So, it's just a variety of stuff. And of course, they're still negotiating, for part of it. But anyway, so the guy that was doing the service.
See, the best thing to do if you got an REI or like a gear store near you is go in there and ask them. They have a thing, yellow, that has a belt on it.
Oh, to measure that.
To measure your back. Or you can have somebody, all you gotta do is go right here.
Selling or you bid on it or what?
We just sell them, but if you
Yeah,
just gonna
that
sell them,
one.
so if you want to pay
I
cash
think
for
it's
it,
this one right here. And then go
I think I saw on the REI
had something to do with that.
We've only agreed to do 30. They want us to do all one.
Yeah, you were saying that, yeah, about the payment process.
Well, that's not the issue with them. The payment process is up to you because it's net 45 and it's net.
They just put 50 liter pack in there, large.
Well,
Yeah, we've done it now, so I mean, really, yeah, on the tarp there. I don't have any rope or anything on that one, but
yeah, we was more thinking about making canopy off the van, just to like have it. Yeah.
open up, make sure.
Okay, my name's Jane Birdsong. I'm from Elkins. Been a teacher all my life. When I retired, I became a master naturalist from the DNR program, and I got lucky and got a job at Holly River State Park, second largest park in the state, and I did that for 6 years. It was my dream job, and living just among the trees. They give me a cabin to sleep in, and it's only a 3-month-a-year job, so it's great. Anyway, I learned a lot about ticks and the vectors in this world. I thought if I called this talk vectors, nobody would come. So I called it ticks. But we're going to talk about other vectors. So first of all, how many of you have ever been a vector?
What's a vector?
That's what I was hoping. Yeah. So a vector is any organism that can transmit a disease through biting or saliva, like sneezing, particulates out into the air. And vectors just they've been bitten by something, and then they bite something else. So this program is really about vectors. I just wanted to make sure people would come, so I called it ticks. All right, so vectors. We are most concerned right now about Lyme disease. And Lyme disease wasn't even recognized as anything till 1975. That was less than 40 years ago.
All right, so to get started here, what I want to ask first off is, what are your guys' knowledge of falconry? What is falconry? Whenever you guys are disqualified. You're not allowed to answer that. We got an expert with us today here. So what is falconry? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Hunting.
Hunting, okay. Anybody else? All right. So hunting is pretty much the definition of falconry. Whenever you actually are doing falconry, it's actually when you're out there in the woods with the birds and you're pursuing game. You're actually hunting with the birds. Instead of going out with a gun, you go out with a bird. So it's a whole lot different. I'll introduce myself here. My name's Colin, and I'm a masterclass falconer here in the state of West Virginia. I've been doing this for about 10 years, getting closer to 11 years now. I started when I was about 14 years old, and been addicted to the birds ever since. So I'll go ahead and introduce you to the first bird that I brought today. The first bird that I brought today, I did use in falconry for a little bit, for about 3 years, to try to get him back into shape to be released back into the wild. Now, it didn't work out as I planned because his injuries were more severe than what we had initially thought. Now, I wasn't the one who initially found him or anything. He was found with a gunshot injury to his left wing. All right, so this is Rico. And Rico, anybody have a guess of what kind of bird he is? Red-tailed hawk. And that is actually one of the first things he does every single time he comes out of the box. It does not matter whether it's been 5 minutes or 5 hours. First thing he does, he has to poop. Now, Rico here is an adult male red-tailed hawk. Now, the way that you can tell the difference between an adult and a juvenile red-tailed hawk is, first of all, by their eyes. These adults have dark brown eyes, whereas the juveniles have pale yellow color to their eyes. Also, their cere, this piece of skin right above the beak. And see how it's kind of like a yellow color? Juveniles will actually have a bluish green color to their cere. Rough of a lifestyle in the wild, you know what I mean? Go ahead.
Do they have any predators?
They do, in fact. For one thing, eagles. Gray horned owls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you don't know, gray horned owls, they're a big owl. They are a big owl. And they're one of the only predators of skunks. And they also will prey upon other things, like they're called the cat owl for 2 reasons. 1, they look like a cat. They have ears that kind of look like a cat. 2, they will kill and eat cats.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And they are a force to be reckoned with. So I have to gather up some equipment that is required by law. But not all the equipment that you need is required by law, so then I had to gather up some other equipment. And after I gathered up all my equipment, I had to have a DNR officer come out and inspect my facility to make sure everything was good to go. And then I was training one of those birds, so that you know that you're not the greatest falconer ever because you're working with a bird that somebody else already trained. Does that make sense?
Yes. How do you trap a bird?
How do you trap a bird? There's all kinds of different bird traps out there that people use. But the most common and the most used trap here in the United States, I would say, is the ballot trap. So this is Charleston. And he's a little damp right now, or was a little damp, and then he dried kind of funky. So actually, he just was outside when it started raining.
It's an owl.
Yep. Does anybody know what kind of owl? He is a barred owl. Yep. He is not a screech owl. Screech owls are just little itty bitty guys. Now, Henry, what kind of sounds do these guys make? Did you forget? No problem, bud. So, these guys make a sound that kind of sounds like, who cooks for you, who cooks for you all?
That's the one.
And it sounds kind of like, woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, exactly.
But then they also... He doesn't think I do it very well.
He looks a little perturbed.
He'll be talking to other owls at night, and then I'll try to join in on the conversation. And then he shuts up. He's like, I don't want to talk to you. But, what's that?
You don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, that too. But they also make other sounds too. Some sounds that they make, it sounds like monkey. It sounds like a dog barking. It's all kinds of random crazy sounds. I mean, whenever they really get cranked up, it sounds like they're arguing with each other, back and forth. They can. Yeah, I mean, honestly, some of the sounds they make, they're pretty creepy. Anybody have any idea what kind of bird Lance is? All right. Oh yeah, you guys got it. Henry's hand shot up so quick. All right, so Lance is a peregrine falcon. So these guys are actually, they exist on every single continent except for Antarctica. So you can see them all around the world. And they are the fastest animal on the planet. So, didn't get it on the seat this time though. So most people, whenever they think about the fastest animal on the planet, they think of the cheetah, right? You know, but I'm going to make the cheetah sound slow for a second. So the cheetah can only go about 65 to 70 miles an hour, right? Peregrine falcons can actually go up thousands of feet in the air, between like 1,500 to 3,000 feet in the air, and then come down in a dive called a stoop. And whenever they come down that dive, they can, very good example, thank you. They can actually go 230 miles an hour. They are fast. And most of the time, whenever they're coming down in that dive, they're coming down with their feet closed. So they're punching their prey out of the sky.
And they're tucking their wings?
They're tucking their wings back. They're like a teardrop.
Yeah.
So this is a survey that we're doing with the folks who are attending here. It's a casual survey to find out what they believe are the most important values that non-motorized trails bring. And so you see we have a visual of the survey. Health and well-being seems to be a big part of that.
That's Ashby's business card in mine.
Would you like to take the survey?
They come back down and they get a prize. Whether they found them all or not doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They still get a prize for participating.
So they can identify different trees and things like that?
Well, they look for things that we've put up there for them.
Oh, kind of like an Easter egg
But
type
it
thing.
also has to do with that.
Okay.
And then I just put in a grant to build a specialized ADA building that will have.
So we represent Pocahontas Trails, which is a International Mountain Bike Association club chapter, and we're also part of the Snowshoe Highlands Recreation Collaborative. So between us, it encompasses 300 plus miles of all-purpose trails, from horseback riding, hiking to mountain biking, and everything in between. So right now the big focus is really connectivity and accessibility around the whole county. So really we're working on connecting to where theoretically you'd be able to ride a bike or hike from Elkins all the way down to White Sulphur Springs or Lewisburg without nearly having to touch the road. So, you know, the more accessibility and the more people we get outside, the better. That's the bigger mission.
Yeah, I'm here with Future Generations University, and we're a small organization in Pendleton County, West Virginia, and we offer one online master's program in applied community development. And we're a research institution. We do a lot of work with maple syrup producers and just research based around agroforestry and youth education based around forestry, food, and agriculture.
Yeah, it's still hard for people who
Okay, so
We're so
they've
lucky
done
to
that,
have them.
and they like Blackwater, really look at themselves now as a
retired. You know, a lot of retired people
four-season
moving there.
Oh, yeah.
place.
Still talks like
I moved there.
Good job.
I'm not retired.
It's kind of funny you should talk about that, because my first visit to Thomas was in 2001.
For sure, area.
And
Thank you.
just as a visitor, my perception of Thomas and Davis in
11 miles.
Burnt your head.
I'm good.
No video though.
I got a long way to drive.
Oh yeah, you got a long way to walk.
appreciate it. Emails, everything's in there.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Well, we came out here Friday to set up, well, Thursday to set up, and we had a great volunteer crew come up Thursday, help set up everything, and when we got started Friday, I expected it to be a little slow at first, but then we've had a great turnout. A ton of people came out Saturday. We had 160 people registered, and out of the 160 who have purchased tickets, we had 120 yesterday register, and we've had the rest of them come out today. So we've had a great turnout here. Last night we had a couple great bands. Corey Hager and another band was playing during the last night. So great turnout. We had great food. A lot of nice workshops come out. And a lot of people interested in learning more about the trail. So it's been a great turnout today, and looking forward to tomorrow and the rest of this event.
And as Justin was saying, it's been an awesome weekend for the Allegheny Trail for the 50th anniversary, and just so many people have come out, and it's been overwhelming the amount of people that's come out. And like he was saying, you know, out of the 160 people, everybody showed up, and we've had more people walk in and everything. So it's just been an awesome weekend, and I've been here since Thursday, and just the number of people, the volunteers that have come out to help, has been just been awesome.
Thank you. Hey, here's what we got, team. Listen up.
Yeah, it's the bubbles.
Second to last call for food. You want some more food? Let's do it. Beer tent's going to be open for a while. We're going to turn this over to a gentleman named Doug Wood. Some of you may know him. Almost 5. Count it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decades in this organization as a volunteer. I'm going to turn it over to Doug to say a few words, but let's raise it up as he says what he says. Let's clap, yell, scream like we mean it, okay?
Right there.
All right, thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to have so many people, some of you potential volunteers. That's great. So, many years ago, I think it was around 1982 or so. Wait a minute, we can't start yet.
Right here. Right here.
Oh, there they are. There was this tremendous effort for the Allegheny Trail on the part of a professor at Davidson Elkins College, who's also the dean or the head of the biology department, and his name was Robert Urban. He pushed away giant boulders off of this scree slope, and he also had assistance from some of his family members, 3 of which are here. Ryan, Heather, and Kathy. Heather and Ryan are his children, and Kathy's his wife. Fred Bird was our president at the time. Some of Fred's relations were here earlier in the day, and Fred decided that Bob should be given something special for his tremendous effort, because it was a bear of a job. We couldn't have had anybody walking through there unless that scree slope had been leveled and a path made through it. So he took his whole summer from D&E he spent on the trail. Camped out most of the time. Probably came in to get a bath every once in a while, man. No, he didn't. Oh, well. I'm surprised he had a lot of help. But anyway, Fred said, let's give him an award. And Fred got a local artist to paint a moccasin flower, a pink lady slipper, on a board. I guess it was varnished. I don't remember exactly. But he received this moccasin flower award at the next meeting of the West Virginia Scenic Trails Association. Well, it stayed that way for a long time. Nobody else got the award. Nobody could match Bob's feat of tremendous capability on the Allegheny Trail until about 2021, and then we had a cluster of 4 individuals. They're not the smartest guys in the world. Jeff and I are 2 of them. And Brian Hurd is here. He's the 3rd one. And Greg Edwards received the award for a lot of work hours on the Allegheny Trail. And we didn't give it out again until today to someone who definitely earns it. And I'm going to let Jeff say the person's name.
Okay, so Mr. Mullins here. Out on the trail, he's always doing all kinds of work on the Allegheny. Not only the Allegheny, he'll help out at anywhere we need him. Whenever he get off work, that is. But yeah, anybody that deserves this would definitely be Justin. You've made one heck of a big difference.
Appreciate it, dude.
The vice president of the club. Justin, if you don't know, earlier this year did a complete through hike to update the Far Out app. And he decided to do that starting on January 1. So if you guys did ever do any winter hiking, you understand what that entails. So I mean, he did all that. This past year, he has been the co-host of our podcast with Nicole, and he's brought a lot of great insight, having walked the entire trail multiple times. A great asset to provide that feedback and the discussions on the podcast. Integral part of the podcast, so cannot give him enough credit for what he's done for the organization and continues. And I just want, on behalf of everyone, just to congratulate him again for all that he has done, and this award is certainly well deserved. So let's hear it for Justin. Thank you very much.
To the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads, all my memories gather round her, Mama's lady, stranger to the water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, till got the light. Country roads, take me home to the place, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads, take me home, country roads. Life ain't easy round here. Grandpa's a miner when he was 12, deep underground he lived in hell. He got paid for every ton he pulled. Pray to God that the roof won't hold. Whoa, whoa, life ain't easy around here. Whoa, whoa, life ain't easy around here. Ain't easy around here. Well, every day breathing the devil's dust. Life ain't easy around here. Well, it's fire in a hole and fire in your lungs. Life ain't easy around here.
Thank you, folks. And if anybody's a coal miner here, you know that there's a line in that song that doesn't make any sense, because the low seam in the Nicholas Webster mine was 21 inches, which means there were no roof bolts. This was the first single off my last record, which has gone double aluminum in the pawn shop charts. It sold tens of copies. I happen to have it for sale tonight, and not that you guys have to buy one, but if you don't, my children won't get to eat. And
Carrying home a CD is easier than carrying home the guilt of a starving child. I just found out today that my oldest son needs braces on his legs. I went too far. I went too far. They were going to buy a record, and I blew it. I'm just kidding. My kids are out there going through your cars right now. This is a true story about a girl that I made up. And I used her real name on stage one day, and somebody put it on the internet, and it got me in a lot of trouble. So if anybody here knows Kim Harlow, tell her that I stopped using her real name. Well, I broke some rules and I made mistakes. I gave her all my heart's break. Beyond shape is fragile. Beyond shape is fragile.